Welcome back, viewers. I'm continuing now my conversation with Allie, former parliamentarian who represented the private sector in Grenada's upper house, is also a chief executive officer of a leading manufacturing company in Grenada and an economics analyst. Welcome back to the program. Well, I thought, the Prime Minister, every time I interview him, he proudly tells me that he has not used paper from day one of becoming the Prime Minister, and he's trying to cut out paper. So I'm surprised that you're still doing the hard copy of the Gazette.
Yeah,
but I guess there's some old school people who still want to feel the paper.
I don't know. We have to get, old school and working, look at ATM. You can't go and line up in a bank anymore, there's ATM you have to use. That's the direction we go in, and what's here to the internet banking and all of that. This is the reality. So we have to adjust.
I guess we do. As we move forward and we try to get some growth and development in the country, I'm not sure if we were a service-oriented economy or a production-oriented economy. Where do you say we are right now, and where should we go? Given the resources that we have, the climate in the world, the challenges that we have, electricity costs and so, can we be effective as a manufacturing powerhouse at all, or do we really just need to throw our hat into the ring of service?
I don't know if we could ever be a manufacturing powerhouse, understanding what happens in Trinidad and Barbados as neighbors of ours.
Powerhouse might have been too strong a phrase.
We are more than likely a service economy, more likely than not. And with SGO in the past contributing between 25 and 27% of our GDP, is a major education service provider. You will believe that. And tourism's being cited as a major sector for growth, which is service related. I would say we're more service than production oriented. We have a few manufacturing companies, myself, the rum companies, the beer companies, and so on, that is doing well, but we're not at the GDP percentage that can seriously say that we could be seriously contending for any major player as a powerhouse. So our GDP for the manufacturers is between 10 and 12% of GDP. That is where we sit. Yes, we expand. We have just expanded our operations, so we'll improve on that. But at the end of the day, the cost to operate, and the major cost for us in energy is one of the things we have cited for years. The cost of goods coming in is another one based on our duty structures. That's another major player. But the third most important one is the cost of labor and the scarcity of labor, the right type and attitude. And that is a major problem for us. In the rural economy, where you have micro businesses in the manufacturing, the pepper sauces people, and so on and so forth, they will cite to you that the biggest challenge is labor and getting labor to work at the rate we want. And this is a problem we've been having in the country, the attitude towards work. A lot of guys come on a construction site and, you employ them at $60, $70 a day based on skill level. And when they make a week and they tell you, boy, that work too hard, they go back home and sit on the block. And this is a problem. So they're coming from zero to probably $400 a week, as the case may be, and they prefer to go back home and sit down and get $0 and lie on the block and do what they have to do. And that is a major issue we see going forward, the scarcity of labor. We even had discussions in the private sector of whether we need to consider immigration/migration policy to bring in people from other countries to assist us, like Cubans or Venezuelans and whatever, because it's becoming a problem.
I've heard this suggestion made in a number of other places from a number of other people who need workers. How did we get to that point? Have we always had that issue with people not wanting to work or work hard or work well? Or is this...
No. Kalesha, you and I are relatively young. I certainly ain't as young as you. But, we come from a history and a background where we were labor-intensive industries where we did bananas, nutmegs, and cocoa. And we worked the fields, and we did a lot of that. And we have known the history of bananas and otherwise. So historically, we have always been people that are relatively high in productivity. But as the economies change and we move to service, you're seeing a different approach. And it is more technologically now driven in terms of the service side. And we have been, I always say the most consistent export we have had done in this country for the last 40 or 50 years is the export of our people. Our population have not changed significantly in that time. We have always hovered around 95,000 and 100,000, not even 110. We just put 110 to look good. But we have always stayed between 95 and 100,000. And the issue here is if we keep exporting oil and our people is a major export, we just don't have the right level of people to do what we have to do. And we don't even have the economic activity. Look at us in St. Lucia. St. Lucia population is 160,000 plus. St. Lucia, in terms of size of country, is similar to Grenada or just a little bigger. And we hover in there, we can generate the kind of business that the St. Lucian economy is generating only because they have more people to deal with. And as a business person, if you don't have people to buy your services and your goods, it just ain't making sense. And that's what tourism does for us, Kalisha. Whether it's through cruise or stay over, it swells our population on a particular day or in week by 2,000-3,000 people a day that comes on land. And if they buy and they take our services, the spending goes up. And, but that's not consistent. And we need a consistent population size that could keep business flourishing at the level that we need. And that's some of the challenges.
So a labor migration program might be the best bet, the way to go. But that will get a lot of pushback from the very same people who are sitting on the block and whoever happens to be in opposition at the time it's being considered.
Expected. And, Canada is doing it. Canada has a serious problem. Japan is even worse than us in terms of looking to bring in people. And I always say it's how you structure the program. So it doesn't have to be only lay people. You could bring in professionals at a certain level to assist, electricians and so on, skilled people in carpentry and those type of things. And you bring them in because you need to analyze the economy to find out where there is the concern. We have been talking about the yachting industry and fine things and what we could do there, but we don't have the skill. We just don't have the people to attract. Those mega yachts are coming Grenada. Every one of them must have an issue technically. You have to fly in people from all over the world to deal with it. There's nobody here that we could say was certified by an international agency that could handle some maintenance issues that come up. And as the technology now it affords us the ability to do it. It just online, so sometimes you just hook up your computer and you do the adjustments, but you charge thousands of dollars at a time. We just need to get creative in what we do. And you don't have to bring in only at the level of laborers. You could bring in at the point where middle in terms of intelligence and skill and higher and start there, because these are people that would love to live in our country. We have safety. We don't have crime as much as other places. We provide good standard of living across the board. So why not do a policy that will attract them?
No, employment now at 12, just a little over 12%, down from is it 28% during COVID?
Well, I'm not sure because PS Mike said it was 17 or 16% and not 11. I'm not sure which one we're using.
And not 11.
Yeah.
No, well, what I got from the Ministry of Economic Development, where that area falls now, is that it's at 12%, and actually, PS Mike seemed to have verified that to me. So I don't know what conversation we had, two different conversations.
Okay, well, if it's percent, yeah, let me hear your question.
It's at 12, but it dumped. In any case, it was at like 28 at the height of COVID, and it's been. Right. It's been declining over, I know the impression was given that it went from 28 to 12 miraculously, but it has been going down. I think it went to 16, 15 something, and so on until it's now at 12. It means that a lot of people are working. So construction is coming back? Those areas, those high volume employment areas are coming back? Or is that Imani distorting the numbers?
Well, I will say when you look at what's happening, construction is very buoyant. The only issue with construction, large projects like Six Senses and Intercontinental and the Leverer project are spikes. And then when these projects finish, the construction activity goes, and then the employment on that level, unemployment on that level will come back up to some degree. So construction is driving a lot of that. But I think when you look at what the PSIP program is projecting and what tourism is happening in tourism, there's a lot of demand for services in tourism at all levels because of these major hotels that are being completed and due to be completed. So Six Senses is one. When Intercontinental comes, Liverpool, and then we have the ongoing one at beaches with the Cinnamon Hill people and Silver Sands people. So you have those that are projected into 2024, 2025. So there'll be a constant look for workers in that area at all levels in the tourism. And it is right now very difficult to get people in the tourism sector in terms of specialities. So that will drive the figures down, obviously. As I say, construction will at its peak, but that is more temporary because some of the construction project ends at a certain time. And you will see some more workers coming out of employment in the construction sector. But if you have growth in other aspects, we talk a lot about the digital economy and what we want to do, the blue economy and all of that, but we're not sure what kind of jobs will be generated. The program for government helps in the construction stabilization of jobs. However, the implementation rate in the PSIP government is something of concern. We have a minister for implementation and so on. And I am not sure exactly what the percentage is for implementation at PSIP. There's still a lot of projects. They had a $10 million one for roads and agriculture that didn't come through because the money wasn't secured. You have some of the major ones like Simone that have started. Nawasa have started a Green Climate Fund projects with all that they're doing for storage and dam improvements and so on. But you're not hearing much about the road projects, the Molineux Road, what is happening there, the state of play and how fast it's moving or not. So there's no, I get a sense, and I could be very wrong, I haven't heard of any major PSIP program that is involved that is going to help push in terms of implementation what is happening across the board. With that, we have some refurbishment with the schools, and I think we're going to build a new Christian academy. I saw it announced, school and so on. But it is not at the accelerated rate that the government had indicated they would like to see when they took over the office, the power in the country. And that has always been an issue I've had.
I think they had said 90%. I think Minister Williams had said 90% at some point. But you're not feeling that 90.
Yeah, you're not feeling the 90, and that's it. And I mean, I always say, Kalisha, part of the problem is capacity, and not capacity only in getting the money to implement, but capacity to actually have the project done, whether we have enough tractors and equipment and engineers, and that is the capacity I'm talking about. Minister Williams probably is doing a good job of removing the red tape and bureaucracy. But when you come to getting the project to happen on the ground, you need boots on the ground in terms of qualified people, equipment to move stuff and do stuff and so on. And I'm not sure we have the level of capacity to have an implementation rate of 90+%. I'm not convinced as yet.
Well, I wasn't convinced when I heard it either. Now, the numbers look good. The IMF has given us a tick mark yet again. We're looking at growth over 4%. Things are happening. The government seems to be holding things steady despite the wanton spending that they came in with. But people are still complaining on the ground. When you talk to regular people, and some of it has to do with political angst as well, but you get the sense that people aren't doing as well as they would like to. That this growth, it's not getting down to the lowest part of the society. Give me your analysis of that.
That is correct. You have heard people say we talk about 4.5%, 5% growth, but the average man will tell you, his lot in life have not changed significantly to reflect that. It is difficult always to get programs that will go right down to the grassroots level and what you do there. But again, I still believe there are opportunities there that we're not seizing on because some of us are stuck in a rut where we don't believe re-education or retraining is necessary. With the onset of AI and what is going to happen and displacement of jobs with automation, people need to retrain, obviously, and that is something the government, I believe, needs to focus in its education aspect of their projections, what they plan to do for our people in that respect. And if you don't do that, then the trickle-down effect that we expect will not happen. Tourism is everybody's business as touted. and is one of the few sectors that will give the trickle down almost right down, because you employ from gardeners right up to chefs, and there is room for everybody across that spectrum to gain something. So, but apart from that, and construction to some degree, but apart from that, the issue is short to medium. Where are we going in terms of how we retrain and re-educate our people to fill the positions of jobs that can improve their life? And I think that has to be. The government have announced a lot of emphasis on skills training, which I agree with, because that is going to be needed, even though the technology considerably improves, but you must have certain things that require certain skills. So I think it is complex from that point of view, and understanding how the ordinary person can feel it. But the ordinary person has a responsibility themselves to understand what is happening and make changes according to what is happening around them, to make sure that they get and feel what is happening so that their lot in life can improve.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this segment. I want to thank you so much for joining me on The Narrative. And once the budget is presented, maybe you can come back and do a more in-depth analysis on the numbers that the government presents, and the policies behind the policies and the numbers behind the policies, or the other way around. So I look forward to having you back. Thank you so much, as always.
Kadisha, you're welcome. You know, I'm always happy to come and chat with you. You know that.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. This is The
All right.
Narrative. I'm your storyteller, Callistra Faria, on there with Chris Allie, economic analyst, as well as Chief Executive Officer of a major manufacturing company in Grenada and former parliamentarian. The Narrative will be back in a moment.